Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be installing new coilovers onto the Mustang, which is currently on airlift suspension, but we're changing this up. You might have seen it on my Instagram, but we're changing this setup because we're gonna be focusing more on track days, autocross, and events like that. I've already got the car up on the jack stands, and truth be told, we did start this install. We ran into an issue, which I'll showcase later, so it's like a quarter of the way done. But we are going to be taking off the air suspension in favor for a fully track dedicated setup, which is the Fortune Auto 510 setup. Then after that, you're going to see these super sticky NTO ones with new forged wheels on the car, which is really going to spice up the look, but also our lateral grip, because these are fully forged 305 squared, which is going to be a meaty setup. Like I said, we have somewhat started this install. So you can see here, I have widened this strut tower opening using the Vorschlag kit. So this needs a little touch of nail polish, which I already have, but the other side needs to be widened because you will notice that this is a tiny hole, which won't allow us to get as much camber as we need to really run that 305 squared. And don't worry about this. This is because all we did last time was put the car back together so I can move it and park it until we got the right parts in. The next step of this install is going to be dropping this strut on the passenger side and widening that strut tower. Now this makes a huge mess with metal shavings everywhere, so I'm gonna mask it all off, and then we're gonna use that kit from Vorschlag and knock that out. Just had to restart the car because I forgot I have to release the air pressure in all the bags. I already released the tank, but it says tank fault too low, or fault tank too low. And with that, I can't change the pressure on the bag. So it's refilling my tank. And then now it's going to allow me to depressurize all four corners, and then I'll re-drain the tank. Pretty easy because I have a drain valve in the back. But yeah, just don't forget that. So release all the pressure once you're up on jack stands if you're ever removing bags, and then drain your tank. Taking zero chances with the metal shavings because I had a mess on that side that I had to clean up. This time I used some plastic drop cloth, which was really thick. It's like 7 mil. So I didn't want them hot metal shavings to burn through it. So I think this should work. Plus in a couple areas were like double layered. But this is how this works. So this is that Vorschlag plate. Put that in, and then it has this guide for your bit. Now this is a 2.5 inch hole dozer. I'm gonna put this on, I'm gonna spray a little WD-40 to lube it up, but we're gonna go through and then cut this, and then I'll ream it and put some nail polish on it after I clean up all of the grease and oil from the WD-40. It is nice and cut out, and I'm letting it cool off because it is very hot, but do you see all of these sharp, jagged edges? We are actually going to ream that, and that is very satisfying. So I'm gonna do that right now. But other than that, you can see all the metal shavings that we caught. All of them, I mean, they're all over the place, that sparkly stuff. This was all in the engine bay last time. It was such a pain to clean, but now we have this cover, so I'm gonna hopefully like sandwich everything up like I said, and that should help make this a lot easier to clean up. Next step is gonna be pretty standard across all coilover installs, in which we're going to set our preload, which Fortune has the preload on their website for different types of struts and shock setups. But then we're gonna set our heights. Now, we don't know exactly the heights because with these, everything goes up and down. So I'm gonna kind of have to guesstimate here, and I'll probably have to make some adjustments on car, which is typical of working on cars. You'll just have to kind of play with it and get it right. But from there, then we will be able to put this on the ground and have the fronts all done without any more air to those bags. Putting it back in is just the opposite of how we took it out, which is you're gonna go ahead and put the strut in from the top first, which we'll have to align. Push it up, get these just started so it doesn't fall out. All right, so those are just hand tight there on top that you guys couldn't see. But then we just go ahead and align this bad boy back and around this. So let's get this brake line passed on the back side of the strut. And then now we are going to work to align this bad boy, which means we'll probably have to lift the ball joint. Alrighty, we got a beautiful Fortune Auto 510 under there with some Hyperco springs. Make sure that those strut to spindle bolts are about 148 foot-pounds. I just torqued those down. And then these four up top don't require much, about 25 to 28 foot-pounds. I use the elbow method. Highly calibrated, been doing this for a little while now, so I just don't want to over torque these because you can strip them out. So just be careful there. But this side is all done. We're gonna mount up a wheel and just see if this is going to be correct once we have it on the ground, because of course it's gonna shrink a little bit. So let's go ahead and see what we got. Here's how the new wheels are looking. And if we look over this way, they are quite aggressive. We have lots of poke, which means we will need negative camber, which is why we widened that entire strut tower anyways. So that way we can get that negative camber around 2.7, maybe 3 degrees. And then we'll be able to tuck that 305. This is looking amazing. I am so excited to be able to run this setup. This is gonna be so much more grip. We have the fronts and rears installed and we're about ready to put it on the ground. I'm a little apprehensive about this fitment because this is quite aggressive and we are static. And of course, once you put it on the ground, it's gonna compress up. I just don't know how much these Hypercoast springs are going to compress. Everything here is pretty tidied up. We have the camber pretty much maxed out. We'll of course have to go get a real alignment after this, but I just wanted to make sure I didn't scrub that much. I'm sure I will anyways. And the last thing is just got to tighten up the 2 top strut bolts and the nuts there. And then we're going to put this thing on the ground and get our reaction to it. Right now we have the car on all fours and it looks insane, but I don't know how I'm gonna get it off these wood blocks and the ramps because it is slammed. This is the setup now. Of course we're on coilovers. We can always adjust this up, which we might have to raise the fronts a little and lower the rears just to match a little bit. So it does look really good, really meaty, but I'm really worried about how I'm gonna come off because with the GT500 front end, the front lip sits really low. And even though I bought these little ramps, I'm kind of worried about this, because whenever I pulled up, this was a lot higher. Go ahead and try to get it off the ramp, see what it looks like on all 4, and see what kind of adjustments I'm gonna have to make. So we've got the car all done, and now I'm going for a quick ride, which might be a little shaky because of my hand, because I'm trying to drive with one hand and shift. But I did a quick turnaround just to make sure nothing was loose, and it was really solid. And also there's a ton of adjustability on these. I had to go back, change the height, so that's one adjustable thing, which is what coilovers all have. I had to change the height just to make sure that I could get up and off my ramps because that was a big pain, but also I wanted to match the heights front and rear. Feels really good, no squeaks or rattles. One of the things I do not miss about the bags is hearing my braided airline rub against the plastic when I turned. Kind of make this creaking sound and it made it sound like a hoopty, which is partially due to my install and where I chose to install my bags. Oh yeah, this feels so good. This is where I always do my test drives and stuff, but it's really smooth. It just doesn't seem like it on camera because I'm bouncing it with 2 fingers, but it feels really good just hitting on some of these bumps. And I haven't adjusted all the dampening and all that stuff quite yet, so this is still just kind of like out of the box where we're at. But hitting cat's eyes and things like that just feels so much more planted, as weird as it sounds. Oh, man, this thing's grippy. We're into the shade spot and then we'll go ahead and walk around the car and talk about what we just did to it. I didn't show too much because I feel like you guys have seen coilover installs. It's downshift. I feel like you guys have seen coilover and airlift installs before, so it's just the opposite of what we've done, either taking it off of airlift or putting on coilovers. So I just looked back at my footage and it's honestly funny when I was watching it because it's so bouncy on my fingers, but I was literally holding the camera like this, similar to how I am now, so I'm balancing it behind the lens. Do not let that be an accurate representation. This is my new fitment now. Look at this. This is absolutely insane. Surprisingly lock to lock, full U-turn with speed, no rubbing. With 2 people in the car, 2 full-sized men. And so we were just fine with that. This is absolutely insane. So we've got a real track aggressive look going on. I love it. This is what I had in mind. It's got a little bit of poke there. The rears are perfect. Mind, this could change as well as I go and get all my alignments and all that done. But the rear's looking really good, not too aggressive. Really, really good there. And overall, the car is disgustingly dirty. It's been sitting for weeks. I have been in between projects and things, but it's looking amazing. We are sitting on 305 squared Nitto NT01 super sticky tires, brand new 19x11 Ibushi forged wheels with this bright silver machine. It's like a brushed silver finish. And on top of all of that, we've completely restored the suspension back to static with top of the line Fortune Auto 510 coilovers. These were even upgraded and we got Hypercoast springs. If you guys didn't know, the Hypercoast springs are the same springs that the NASCAR series use. So we basically have some NASCAR parts up in this thing. But we're gonna set it up for autocross, canyon drives, track days, and I can't wait to take you guys along with it. Here in the rear, I do still have my tank and everything, but obviously it's not connected. Nothing is wired and turned on and pumping. But this will be coming out and I'll be selling the entire setup, including our custom-made donut, if you guys were around for that back in the day. Still keeping the subs, even though it's a track car and track build, I still gotta have some bump. After some minor tweaks of raising the front and settling and having everything dialed in, I love the fitment. I guess this is what it's like to mature, because back in the day I used to want to tuck everything and I used to air out everywhere. And now I just want something very solid, very clean. And this is that. I mean, this looks amazing. Let me know what you guys think of the new version down in the comments below. Is this a win or is this a fail? To me, I absolutely love it. I am so excited to put some miles on it. Well, of course, after going and getting an alignment. But from there, we're gonna have so much fun with this car. It makes me wanna drive it again, which is exciting. More content for you guys, learn as a driver, everything in between. I can't wait to bring you guys along. That's gonna pretty much wrap it up for today's video. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, then please comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time.